Hello and welcome, everyone. This is our second episode of the Entrepreneur Spotlight coming from Karunya's The Missing Link magazine. December is a season of cheer, season of holidays, and season of giving. We have just the right guests for this episode who display that spirit of giving in very exemplary ways. Mr. Vishal Nair and Mr. Daniel Jacob. In a minute, we will have them introduce themselves, and then we'll dive right into this episode. We hope this will be a blessing to your family, and this will also be glorifying to our God.
Amen.
Mr. Daniel Jacob, we're going to go with you first, sir.
Sure.
You had posted a video about a blanket drive you have done, and it was very touching to watch you go ahead and do this very simple gesture. It was covering pedestrians in the middle of the night at 1 a.m. and you're covering them with a blanket. And it's not just resonated with me, it resonated with a lot of viewers so profoundly that they decided to adopt that and do that in their own towns. And to me, it was a maternal gesture. It was very intimate. It's very personal. It's something that my mom would do. She would check on me in the middle of the night before she went to bed, or maybe when she got up to get water. And if my feet were sticking outside the blanket, she would tug that, and then she'd leave. So for you to do, or for anybody to do that to somebody, I think is that maternal gesture, because I wouldn't even know. I would still be asleep. I had this faint feeling that somebody had done that. And then, so that I can understand why that had such a profound effect. So could you please help start us off by explaining how that came about?
Yeah, sure. First of all, greetings to all of you. Happy to see you all in the month of December. It is joyful month, and it is a month of celebration, and the celebration begins officially probably now. And so I'm Daniel Jacob. I finished 2000 MBA in 2005 from Karunya, and directly diving into about the experience of the blanket drive. Actually, we called it a love walk. It's a love walk is what we called it. We've done that. We do that often whenever we have some extra time. We try to see, now in my extra time with my little extra money, can I also be a blessing? Is a question. I think all of us will have that question. If not others, I will say definitely all Karunyans might have that question. Now, can I be a blessing to somebody somewhere? And most of the time, where we stop is, or what stops us is, I do not know what to do and where to do. And I do not know whether I have the resources to do it, are the questions that always comes to our mind. And so years before we started doing such things, and this particular instant, just before the Chennai, when the Chennai rain started, we thought, suddenly this comes to our mind. See, there are a lot of people living on the roadside. And every time when we see the challenges that they go through, even they do not have a blanket to cover. And see, I studied MBA, and all of us are educated. We know a simple solution. If somebody is not having a blanket, giving a blanket could be a simple solution, right? And blanket doesn't even cost more than 150, 200 rupees, like $2, $3 maximum of it. And if I go to a Starbucks or if I go to a mall and I'm spending that much easily over a coffee, and let us see what can we do is what we thought. Because during the COVID time, we've been on the street always trying to help people and feed people and so on. What we've realized is, since COVID, the street dwellers numbers increasing in Chennai, that we've literally seen. So we thought maybe there are people still living in the street. Let us go and see. And we saw several people. Then we said, no, why don't we do bulk, get bed sheets in bulk, split as team. Just have it in with you and just keep walking on the street. And if you see somebody sleeping on the road without a blanket, just put it on them. That is what we thought. And what I did not realize was there were more than 50 people without blanket, sleeping on the street, not more than 50 meters from my house. I never knew that. It is just there. Now, I live in a place called Ananagar in Chennai. There is a fly, just for people who are in this part of the geography may know, there is a school, SBOA school. There is a walking flyover, walking for the pedestrian crossing. It's a flyover. And it is not even 50 meters from my house. And we recently moved here to this house. So suddenly I saw, maybe I saw some heads there. I thought maybe somebody is sleeping there. So out of my car, I went, because we were doing on this drive, and I stopped and took only 2 bedsheets with me. And I thought only 2 people will be there. I went there and I saw like about 35, 40 people just there. Then I told my team, no, bring everything. Looks like, no, we may need more here. No, bring everybody. Then they come. The video that was posted exactly was recorded there in that spot. Okay. And the beginning of the video was part there. And what moved me was, see, we've done many things. This is a small time also, did not take much time. What we thought was, let us go after everybody's settled. Like, we went past 1 a.m. in the morning, and everybody was settled, and we went and started putting blankets and so on. The something that moved me was exactly that. So we started the question also. They're sleeping as they're deep sleep. They're in, irrespective of all the noises going around, the mosquitoes, rats, and everything. They're just sleeping. Now I went and actually put the blanket, and you see, and 90% people did not wake up. Some people woke up and thanked, and 90 people, they were I do not know, maybe they were very tired, they did not wake up. But when I covered, they were adjusting themselves and covering themselves and sleeping. And never in my life I'm going to see them. They have not seen me. For an unknown people, somebody comes and does it. If somebody did that to me, I would have been like, thank God for that. What we thank God for, that He made us do that. And as you said, since then I've received so many feedback from people that they started doing it in their area. But I need to confess that it is not that we did it for first time. I've seen people doing it for several times in many places, not in Chennai, many places. This was something, but that is when it is a motivation that we can be also blessing to.
This is like the 3rd time I'm hearing it, but it's still as effective as I heard it the first time.
I think the first time I was speaking to, when I mentioned to somebody for the first time, and I felt so emotional about it. And it's very emotional. If really, if somebody did that to me, I will be really thankful to God for that person. And when I am that person, when God chose me to do that, I'm really thrilled about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for sharing that. And if you don't mind, I think you were invited to speak on a TEDx platform, and so was your wife. And do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that also is called Compelled by Love.
Is my wife's talk, yes.
Yeah, Love or Compelled by Love. So if you want to tie that in also and let us know, that would be great.
I also have an NGO. We run an NGO, and the NGO is called You Are Loved. So everything is love there.
Yeah, this is the season of love, and
yes,
it's very appropriate to do that.
Yeah. So talking about it, probably I will go to last December. And in December, myself and my wife, Preethi, we do a kind of a 21 days, 1 meal fasting in the night. So officially I'm also fasting now for this year. And when we were doing,
it's interesting you've chosen December to do that, not the Lent season.
It is more of thanking God for the last year, and also preparing ourselves for the next year. That's how we've been doing it for some years now. And when we are praying for this, when we are praying for last year, and we usually write down the number of prayer requests, and we had a list of prayer requests, and maybe I should bring my note. Prayer point number 13 was both of us that we wanted to talk in TEDx. And it was not there before. Suddenly, this was a desire, and we wrote it down and we started praying for that. And we know TEDx is a platform that it is not that easily get. It is not something that you can gain, right? You need to be invited, and all that need to happen. And as we were praying, Preethi got the invitation from one place, and it was like amazing to us. It was an invitation from nowhere, like it came, and she was asked to speak in this. And the program was scheduled in now 2021 April, but because of COVID, it was moved to last month. So only it happened in November. And so her prayer point is ticked. Mine was not ticked. It was going on. Things were going on. And in August, suddenly I received a call and saying there is a TEDx invitation and now asked to speak. And the process went on and all that. And in August itself, it finished. The TEDx was over. I spoke in August and she spoke only in November. And we were amazed. And personally, I've not like really connected much, not known about it. But I have not known both couples spoke in TEDx. And also in the same year, I have not come across something like that. That is what I'll now call it a grace. Now, grace is not a race. That's what I always like. Okay. And it comes from above. And when you put it down, pray and consciously know that it is, you're eligible to do it and you can do it. So, and also when we know that it is God's given opportunity and God gives an opportunity, it should be for a reason. So then we said, what should we talk about? No, I am from HR background. No, I am passionate about HR. Now, should I go and talk about this and that and all that? So many ideas came. But we said, let us talk about love. Now, both of us actually did that. And I spoke on a topic called For Such a Time as This. Actually, in TEDx, you can't speak such things, right? And without reference, it's a verse from the book of Esther. For such a time as this, he was chosen. The Mordecai says, no, Esther, no, that you are chosen for such a time as this. If you don't act, God can do through other ways. But what about you is what the question is. And I talked about what we've done during this COVID time. We were compelled and in how we were able to a small discussion in our house that we should be also not worried about like others think about infection, this and that. We should be on the street. We should be on the field helping people. God will take care of us is how we started. And in this season in COVID wave 1 and 2, we were able to help 125,000 people. And it all happened because of that small beginning. And that's when I thought, for such a time as this, maybe God actually chose us to do, and that's how I spoke about, and Preethi spoke about on a topic called "Compelled by Love," and she also she started from the 1 Corinthians chapter 13 last verse. Faith, hope, and love is the greatest. That's how she started the thing, and basically, see, love can change. We are called to love. We are called to be a blessing. We are the light. And we are here to show the light. And that is what the essence of our talk was. And we are thankful for that.
Very powerful and definitely compelling. And also it removes the argument of somebody being the better half. You both got, so that's good.
Yeah,
and also,
she's the best half, I'll say.
Smart, very smart. And then using the quotes and the verses from the Bible, Mother Teresa has done that. How she ties service and where she draws her energy and where that love, selfless love comes from. So I think she has set an example for the country, and a lot of people see that. And then I think when they see someone such as yourself and Preethi do that, it's something continued country. So that's so great. I'm going to take a turn and ask Vishal now. So let's talk to Vishal. So Vishal, you have worn quite a few different hats in Karunya. So that made your profile very unique. So just like we heard Daniel, and then he's got this very unique kind of thing going. So if you don't mind, could you please walk us through how you joined Karunya and your own journey right up until where you are right now?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. And before I talk about my journey, can I talk something about Daniel Anna's talk? Can I add something? Yeah. So when he said about how he gave a blanket to somebody in the cold of a night, right? I could relate with one incident where I had actually traveled to Delhi. Now I traveled from Coimbatore. It was pretty hot in the month of November. It was pretty, and I didn't think about that it would be cold in Delhi at that time. It was a month of December actually beginning. And when I went to Delhi, I hadn't taken any bedsheet. It was just a 2 day trip, right? I just had taken an extra shirt and a pant and nothing else. I had not taken a bedsheet or anything. And since I had done last minute booking, I had got only sleeper ticket. And when I reached there, I could feel the cold. In fact, after Nagpur, I could feel the cold. The train was like, I felt I should shut off every single window and this thing. And it was shut actually. Most of the people had shut. Still, it was so cold. I had never felt that kind of cold in my life. And when I was returning back, I could see so many people out there, not without much clothes. And I had my coat. I had taken my overcoat. That was the only thing, formal thing. And I did not take it off after interview also. And when I got into a train, I was with that. People are looking at me funnily, but I had that. It was so cold, and still it was so cold in that. The only thing that was there in my mind was, Lord, if only I can get one, blanket from somewhere. That 6 to 8 hours before train crossed Nagpur, it was so bad. I understood the value of something as simple as a blanket that time. To beat that cold, and I could relate to that instance so well because of my own life experience. Yeah, coming to my background, after Karunya I joined Jesus Calls actually first after my BTech, and I because I was very passionate about media and what Jesus Calls was doing, so I joined Jesus Calls. But after a year I was called actually by Karunya, and they had called that there are 2 vacancies in the Department of Media Technology itself. Would you like to come and offer your services here? So I jumped immediately because I loved to be in Karunya then. And I went immediately after a year and joined as a teaching assistant. Now, Department of Electronics and Media Technology was pretty new then, and they were not having faculties or expertise to handle media-related subjects, especially from a point of view that Karunya believes in. So I joined there and I started teaching. But within a couple of years, I understood I cannot grow here because I don't have an MTech. And in an engineering college, that's a must. And I was not very interested then in doing MTech full time because I had already studied my BTech on a loan. So I was paying that back. So I said, let me not do MTech now. Let me go for another. And I got a really good job in one audio industry. And I was going to resign, but that is the time the HOD comes and says, Ms. Shanti Pandira, she says, why should you resign now? The department needs you, stay back. So I said, if I should stay back, I should do full-time MTech. That's not possible. I cannot do it. But somehow she went and requested, and as an exception, the management allowed me to do MTech full-time and also allowing me to teach in the college. Okay, this is kind of surprise. Nobody has been allowed like that. So I was allowed to do full-time MTech with keeping my half teaching workload. It was almost full teaching workload when you compare, but I could do it. And I did MTech like that. And after finishing my MTech, I joined back the department as assistant professor. And one thing that troubled me, especially in our department, was the low employability rate. Yes, at Karunya, we boast about high employment, but most of them were IT companies and many of them were call center jobs. So I was not pleased by showcasing a wrong impression of employment. I kind of challenged myself as well as a campus of how to find good placement, quality placement for our students, right? And how to prepare them, equip them for that. And this was something that was running in my mind and my heart. And I used to personally take interest in the students of my department. And doing so, I kind of stumbled upon this one workshop that was happening in NIDDR, National Institute of Technical Teachers and Training Research Center in Chennai. That was a 2-week faculty development program on entrepreneurship and innovation. So I was like curious, what is entrepreneurship? I have not heard much about entrepreneurship with business, but since that as faculties, we also need to showcase some, score for our career advancement. Okay, I said, why not go and do this FTP? And since it was entrepreneurship, I I don't know, something drew me there, and I got the permission and went there. And I was lucky to be selected among the 24 in India. And of course, it's God's favor. And after I did that 2 weeks workshop there, my mindset totally changed. I understood like the only way we can fix unemployment in our country is kind of encourage entrepreneurship and innovation. How much government can do to create jobs? There is limitation. Now, I came back with a renewed mindset from that workshop, and I started talking about this in the campus. And so, because I was young and not very experienced, or not many people took me very, not many people took my words very seriously. But the placement officer then, the Dr. Shobhare, she kind of took it very seriously. I kind of told her straight away that, one way we can find placement for our students is make our students entrepreneurs, right? How about doing that? So she was kind of encouraged about my worldview that time and my point of view about how we can create an entrepreneurial culture within the campus. So she said, you go ahead and do, my office is there. I can help you. You go ahead, train. But I did not know how to train. That's where, because what knowledge I got at NITTTR was, of course, there was a lot of motivation, a lot of content, but I did not know how to take it to students. That's where I got connected again through the placement officer, Dr. Shobhare. She kind of connected me to one regional manager of National Entrepreneurship Network who visited Karunya, and she was visiting Karunya for last 10 years, it seems. And it was only happening in one specific department under one faculty's influence. And she said she's visiting and she's taking this small workshop today. Why don't you go and attend? So I went and attended, and what she spoke so much resonated with me. And I understood this is something that the entire campus should have, not just 10 or 15 students. That's where I started building good relationship with her, with the National Entrepreneurship Network. And she was also actually looking forward to it. She said, I've been in this campus for 10 years, but I didn't see anyone so enthusiastic to take this program forward. So since you are enthusiastic, she kind of opened up the entire facilitation of NEN. She started making a formal relationship with Karunya, and with her help, I floated 2 courses in Karunya, which is called as basic course in entrepreneurship and advanced course in entrepreneurship. So I started handling this. And now to handle this, I could not do it with my own. We have to actually get certified by NEN. So we had to go through 2 workshops and almost 2 years of mentoring by NEN. And then only they say you are kind of qualified to take these sessions. So I started handling these sessions at Karunya, and slowly, as entrepreneurship mindset started kicking in, you become restless, right? You don't feel constrained within 4 walls of a university, and it was difficult for me to stay there. So, and Karunya's norms that time did not allow a faculty to do a startup. Students can do it. So I had a startup idea and I had to incubate somewhere, but I could not do it. So luckily, one of my friend came across, and he kind of was jobless. Actually, he could not do a full-time job because of health issues. So I could incubate the company in him. I said, why not you start up? I'll help you with everything that you require. With the wisdom I have got by God's grace in entrepreneurship, innovation, incubation, everything, I'll help you. Why not we start a business? So we started our first venture in 2017, and towards the end, it was called Crossway Solutions. And when I started that, a certain authority came, because when you practice what you preach, right, a certain authority and, a kind of confidence comes in to do. Right. Now, and this came in more because when I was doing when I was talking to one faculty, inspiring them about entrepreneurship, so much is there when you can become in entrepreneurship, we can end unemployment in Karunya and all those things. You talk so convincing, you are so inspiring. Why are you not entrepreneurship? That was like a slap on my cheek. You talk so much about entrepreneurship. Why are you not one? That's where I started this business. And to cut the story short, I was doing entrepreneurship only as a side role in Karunya. It was never given to me as a full-time official role, though I asked for it. I was just doing it as a side role. No career advancement score, nothing counted for me doing that role. But I was just doing it just because it was somehow my passion. I feel I just loved doing it. I loved encouraging students. And I loved seeing students' mindset getting transformed, them looking for opportunities in problem. The very vision of Karunya was solving human problems, looking at problems and finding opportunities and making it into enterprises. This is what I started talking and doing in the campus. And that somehow resonated well. Slowly and steadily, whenever it was about startup, they used to refer to me in the campus. Go to Vishal, he'll direct you to the right channel. Even the MBA HOD did that. I remember that. So slowly, all these things started, and because I was so passionate about entrepreneurship, I kind of seconded everything. I was not interested in my research work, PhD, or publications, or patents, and all. So finally, in 2020, I had to call it quit in Karunya. I had to because Karunya was also not very pleased, because I have to do, because that's the norm of the university. So I had to call it quit, or Karunya asked me to do it. If you do not do PhD, you have to quit. So I said, let's do it. And I quit, and I started my own company in November 2020. It's almost a year now. It's called Light and Salt Private Limited. We started doing work only for Christian ministries initially. Now we do also some works for Tamil Nadu government. And what we do is media consultancy work, mostly educational, informational, promotional kind of thing. Now we also have an online e-commerce portal, which is again for a niche crowd, that is corporates as well as Christians, right? Sakshi Store is the name. Sakshi means testimony. So the point was, like, one of my friend, who's my partner in business, he said, see, there are so many things that are written on a t-shirt. Can t-shirt become a witnessing tool? Can something like a mobile phone we carry become a witnessing tool for Christ? Can that start up a conversation by which we can share gospel? So that is where we started this online e-commerce portal called Sakshi Store, where people can order customized t-shirts. And of course, now we are doing cups, mugs, and bottles and keychains and all, by which they can start a conversation. An example is, for example, this is my kind of corporate t-shirt. There is Light and Salt. And I am going to add 7x70. There's another t-shirt I have which has 7x70 under it. Okay, 7x70. So when you hear 7x70, what comes to your mind? When you hear 7x70, immediately the forgiveness of Jesus is what comes to your mind, right?
Correct.
Now, for a non-believer, or for a person who hasn't read the Bible, he becomes curious. Why 7x70? I have 7x70 on my t-shirt. I have a bottle on which 7x70 is written. So why 7x70? Is it a lucky number or something? That opens up a door to share a 1-minute gospel to them. So that was our passion, to start something that will create doors, or that will open doors to start a conversation and share a 1-minute gospel to people, right? So that is how we started Sakshi Store, with that purpose. So that is what we are doing. And in the meanwhile, because my activity, seeing that I was having a very active role in Karunya, though not very officially, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of Tamil Nadu took notice of it. Actually, their training coordinators and the field coordinators kind of understood that I have the potential to train. So now I work as a master trainer for EDII, or Entrepreneurship Development Innovation Institute Tamil Nadu. By God's grace, I got an opportunity to create the content that would be taken up by every single student in that are as spoke universities, in our spoke colleges under EDII Tamil Nadu. So I created the content for their innovation entrepreneurship development program for faculties, students, and also I handled training programs for the field coordinators now. So the entire content was scripted, storyboarded by me, and the faculty development program content, even I did the production and the post-production part of it, apart from doing the content. So this is what I do now. Yeah.
That's why I said this is a journey. Then I cannot try and introduce you. Much from justice. So you would be the right person to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
I should say very impressive. And I've been also faculty in, not faculty, just been conducted some classes in the Entrepreneurship Cell of Tamil Nadu.
Wow. Oh,
so
wow.
I've been
Okay.
the HR perspective, yeah.
Nice.
So maybe segue there, Daniel. Would you mind telling us what it is you do professionally?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes people confuse. No, are you running an NGO or something like that? And say, in according to me, in my mind, I have two things, God-given things to do, along with several other things. Like one is paying me, another one is helping me to now spend. Both needs time. I give equal importance to both. One is my job, which is I work as a vice president of HR in an American technology company, and we are into software solution and development company. And I'm with this organization for the last 16 years. I was after Karnya, after finishing my Karnya, I had a small um, experience with Standard Chartered. Then I joined here in HR, and I'm continuing to do here. So I head the HR operations here, and also being the part of international leadership team. That is what I do professionally, and I serve as an executive director in You Are Loved. That's the NGO that we had, myself and my wife, and along with many volunteers. And I should say that several of our volunteers are Karanians, obviously, because that's a link that with us for all these years. And other than that, so entrepreneurship, as Vishal was talking, is also very, very close to my heart. I consider myself as a social entrepreneur, and we try doing so many things. And in this COVID, I was saying very several initiatives we did. One such initiative was called Rebuild, where we helped people who have potential and also who lost livelihoods, and we helped them and funded them, entered them to start a small business out of the house, out of their whatever knowledge they have. So in last 1 year, we've started 156 such businesses. And so, yeah, so though it is not directly giving me profit money-wise, of course, all the gains is a profit. And so I consider myself a social entrepreneur, and I enjoy doing that. And as the famous saying right now is, entrepreneurs are the new age freedom fighters, right? That's how we can help the country in solving the unsolved problem of unemployment. And so other than that, I also serve in several boards of social entrepreneuring and also in NGOs. I also teach in Christian Institute of Management. And yeah, these are the few other things that I do in life.
Are there enough hours in the day?
That's always a big thing, but
Yeah.
it's God's grace. Not many times that I go to bed without thanking God for that He enabled me to do that day.
Yeah. And I like that phrase. I haven't heard that before. The new freedom fighters.
Entrepreneurs are the new age freedom fighters.
Okay. I need to use that more often. And you see that freedom fighter fiery passion burning in Vishal, especially when you see him. Because you see him, yeah, he's a freedom fighter,
Yeah.
right? Like, so, but I want to ask you, Daniel, since you talk about social entrepreneurship, people have different definitions or perceptions of it. Can you give us maybe a little bit more in-depth definition? Are there also like two sides to it? Is social entrepreneurship always not for profit, or could it be for profit? And what is the statistics like for India, and how relevant is it for us, one or the other?
Yeah, sure. And all the thing that I will say is my own definitions. It cannot be taken it as a defined by somebody else or the people who follow the business of it. I will say, in my own words, I will say, point number one that people need to understand who do not know what it is social entrepreneurship is not social work. Point number one, very clear. When it is not social work, no, to put it in very clearly, when it is not charity, then it should be making profits. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is the entrepreneurship. Okay, so entrepreneurship is a business and which means you need to make money. But it is a big but. Okay. But entrepreneurs, you should not do business for making money. That should not be a primary goal. If you ask me why I do social entrepreneurship, for the same reason Vishal said, to eradicate unemployment. I will say to see, my personal vision statement is to help individuals and groups to identify their potential and help them unleash their potential. This is my personal mission statement. So speaking to one-on-one, speaking to a group, speaking to a crowd, if I'm able to inspire them to understand their potential and help them unleash their potential, I live my passion. I live my mission for my life. That's how. And writing this mission statement for my life, understanding what it is, it took some time. It didn't come just like that. It was a process several years before. Now, in one of the workshops I had, I thought, no, because there are so many things comes in your way. Which one you choose to pick and which one you miss. And this mission statement helps me more. Now, helps me very much in which one should I put. Entrepreneurship, it's very much on that. Helping individuals to understand their potential and unleash their potential. And when I do that, I feel very much comfortable, very much achieved for myself. When I see their businesses running successfully. When I know, when all the small shops that we started during this period, you just go past by. And when they say, when I see them making some business, it makes a lot of happiness. I'll send you some videos about Anand. If you wanted to include, you can include. No, you will not be. No, probably for the viewers, I should say, oh, you invested in 156 businesses? How many crores or lakhs you invested? Maybe the question. I'll tell you, each business, we invested only rupees 5,000, which is not even $100, about $75 or so for one business. And it is running successfully. Recent, for example, what kind of business we started? We started a small fish stall, a dry fish stall, a flower shop, a fruit shop, the wet grinders for the batter business. Like that, different, about 30 plus different ideas. Creating these ideas, involving that. And so many people invested. I did not personally invest in this. See, hey, there's a family here who are very much interested in starting a business, and somebody help. Suddenly somebody sends money. Even I do not know who all sent during this time. And somebody sends and I invest. I see my job is like in the business term, if you wanted to call me, I'm a middleman. Okay. And do this, vision this, and implement this, and see things are happening. So to kind of conclude on what I think is entrepreneurship is a business, serious business, which means should be making money, but that is not your motive. Money is a byproduct of an entrepreneurship. An entrepreneurship makes you feel that you help people identify the potential, and it helps them empower themselves and their families and the generation. That's how I define it, Anand.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, maybe Vishal knows the exact way, the real definition of it. This is the layman definition, Vishal. Sorry about it.
You have given the right definition, I can say. I have a little. Can I add to it, Sam? Sam, yeah.
And also, after you finish that, also writing on the back of that definition, go ahead and explain to me and to the viewers that story of how you inspired one of not your students, but your student's mother to become financially independent. That to me also struck a chord. It was almost like how when Daniel transformed people's, how they felt about the blanket, you transformed some life with that piece of advice. So go ahead with your definition first and then follow up with.
So social entrepreneurship is something really close to my heart too. And as Darren rightly pointed out, entrepreneurship at its core is not about making money. It's about solving problem and creating value in the society. You create value for people and you get paid for it. That's exactly what entrepreneurship is all about. And actually, society or maybe to an extent our education system is also to be blamed. They consider business all about money, profit, but actually it's putting people before profit. That's entrepreneurship, and it's a mindset. So it does not mean that you start a business and you become entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's a culture, it's a spirit, that you develop and you cultivate. So entrepreneurs are everywhere. Now, one good example about social entrepreneurship I would like to give is Dr. Verghese Kurian, right? The founder of Amul in our country, the father of white revolution. Now, if you look at this entire story right at the beginning, when he saw a problem, and the problem was the milk. India was a milk deficient nation in 1949. And when he saw this problem upfront, to tell the story very shortly, and when he was approached by Mr. Tribhuvan Das Patel to solve the problem of one district in Gujarat called Khera district, where only few farmers were there, 10 or 15 farmers were there, who were suffering because of the middlemen exploiting them. He kind of came up with a solution, and the solution was kind of creating a cooperative society of milk farmers, right? And the second thing was he brought some technological intervention. The problem was the milk farmers had to travel long distance, give the milk to middlemen who exploited them financially, who did not give them the right amount of money. And because they had to travel so long, they could not, hold the milk. Some milk got spilled or got spoiled. So this was kind of a problem that he attacked. And the way he solved was, let's not go to the middleman, let's collect it centrally one place. But how do you collect centrally and pay to the farmers? It has to be based upon the quality of milk they submit. So he brought in a small technological intervention by which he analyzed the fat content of the milk. And then this is the only 2 steps actually he did. And he made the farmers only to run the show. It was a total democratic way of functioning. He made the farmers to collect the milk. He made the farmers to take the milk to the market also. And finally, if you look at the entire story of Amul and Dr. Verghese never became a billionaire, or he never built big mansions for him, or he never did ride luxury cars. But what he did was he raised more than 1.5 million farmers out of poverty, right? He gave them a future. And apart from that, India was a milk impoverished nation in 1949. And today, India is the largest producer of milk and milk-based products. And you know how big Amul is, right? And all this because of one man who was a social entrepreneur, like Dr. Verghese Kurian, right? So a startup, something like Amul, has impacted the entire country. So that is what social entrepreneurship at its core is, I feel. It is about solving a human problem and creating value for the entire country out of it. And not, developing yourself or your personal goals and all. It may happen or may not, but it's about creating value. Yeah,
very well said.
Yeah.
Good, great example. I think the apt example.
Oh, thank you. Coming to the thing that Simona was mentioning about, the one student's mom. Yeah, so this happened because one student who came to me and who had actually come to our staff room, and she was actually struggling to pay her fee. And it was in third year of her college. Mostly if people are struggling to pay fee in the first 2 years, we can understand. But third year, if you're struggling to pay fee, there has to be something wrong. So I inquired what's wrong. I heard other faculties inquiring. She said she had lost, her parents had lost job. Her mom and her dad had lost their job. They were working abroad and now they were struggling. Many other reasons, she said. And well, I did sympathize or empathize with her, but I immediately asked, why don't they do something else now? What were they doing there? So she was saying, my father was a music teacher. So why don't he handle music? But how do we do it, sir? Nobody will pay us well and all, a lot of things. I asked her then, I just asked her, what is your mom good at? Has she gone for work? No, she doesn't go for work now. But what is she good at? I just asked. And when I just asked that, kind of, there was a spark in her eyes. And she said she's good at baking. She's a good tailor. She's also a good music teacher. And she does beautician work. And she kind of listed 4 to 5 gifts or talents the mom has. And I said, your mom is so gifted. Why do you think that she cannot use this gift to earn something for herself? And she was confused. I said, if she bakes well, what does she bake? And she showed me, close to 50, 60 photos of things that she had baked. And they're so beautiful. I said, what are you doing with such gifting you have? And she was kind of confused, where am I getting at? And I said, in today's age and time, with social media and all these things, why don't you start something as a self-employment kind of venture right from your home? Why don't you use the same Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp channels to just sell what you know to do? Your mom knows stitching. She does this Christmas decoration works, and she can bake cakes and so many other cookies, diet cookies. She was making cookies which even diabetics can eat and all this. Why don't do it? And she kind of understood to an extent where I was getting. I kind of, in short, I told her that in life, value your God-given giftings more than the qualification that you have. No, your qualifications can fetch you a job, but your gift can fetch you a work that is close to your heart. So why do you underestimate the gifting that God has given to you or your mom? Use it, start using it, and start making money out of it. And then that very night, her mom called me. When her mom called me, I was kind of nervous. Am I going to get some kind of scolding or something? But she said she was excited to know. She said, nobody has spoken like this to us before. I want to know more about how can I, use this. I said, even I cannot remotely kind of explain all this thinking, but I'm associated with Entrepreneurship Development of Innovation Institute, Tamil Nadu. Why don't you go there? You'll find help. So she went in the very next couple of days, and she enrolled herself into one program called NEEDS program, where women entrepreneurs are actually trained. And she got trained there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. Free, of course, government of Tamil Nadu pays everything. There she understood what is entrepreneurship, and she understood how she can start a self-employment venture right from her home. Now they're doing good. Now they are baking, they are tailoring, they are handling music classes, everything they're doing. Now, only thing I did was just tell them, realize them, as Daniel Anna was rightly pointing out. There's so much of potential within you. Why don't you unleash that potential? Why do you value only a degree paper, right? And wait for that dream job to come when you yourself can become job, where you yourself can kind of expand your gift, and people will pay you for your gift and your talents that you have. So that is one message I spoke throughout, my tenure at Karunya. I said, value your gifting and talents that God has given you more than your degree, right? Because this will, yeah.
I totally agree, and
Yeah.
that's very inspiring. And in some ways, that's also revolutionary. Because in India especially, our parents sacrifice everything for education, for the children's education, right?
True.
Valued that, and everything else, that studies, we call it studies come first, everything else.
Yeah.
So over that, and the academic institutions pride, and they have a goal, they taught them. When we introduce a concept such as what you're saying, it is going to be a challenge, right? Because over the years, it's culturally ingrained and embedded. Now you're going to have to transform that almost on its head. And it does not, it should not feel like it's competing or it's at loggerheads with education. That notion, I think, has to be explored, and maybe it's a hybrid before we go, right? Because some people may be ready, like you said, hey, in my mind, it's clear. This is what I needed. This is the right time. That's what I want to pursue. But people who don't have that kind of a clarity, who are still dealing with that, who are looking at a safety net, for them, the degree sort of provides that. So what I'm hearing you say is, if I may take the liberty to say this, education is for the talentless. Is it?
Nothing like that. Actually, I feel.
But that's what I'm saying. That people may treat it like that too.
Yes.
And then they may take affront. Then say, you're challenging educational system, the existence, the reason why academic institutions exist, the degrees that they earn. I think they have their place, their purpose, their value. This is not to discount them, and this is not anti-education at all. All we is this is a valid, a legitimate, And in these days, it is actually can also be lucrative if done right, and if done well. And if you're benevolent enough, which is what we're talking about, social entrepreneurship, you are raising up everybody around you in the society. So there is noble. So the teaching is a noble profession. I think if you teach entrepreneurship in there, there is nobility in that too. So they're not competing, they're complementary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not only parent problem, it's also marital problem. So nobody wants to give their girl, no, if there's a boy is after engineering doing entrepreneurship, right?
True.
we can have a separate podcast on that, Daniel.
So, yeah. It's a freedom fighting. It's a freedom fighting. So
Exactly.
you need to fight. You need to do what others are not doing.
Exactly.
It's no, it's swimming on the opposite to the current. So it's a fight. No, and entrepreneurship is never a bed of roses, unless you consider one. It can be, it can be one, but it is not literally what you feel.
Yes.
And yeah, so I thought I'll add quickly one small thing here, and which is, see, a lot of people now, they wanted to actually pursue their passion and so on. Mainly parents stop it. Why do parents stop it? Because they wanted to do good for their children. No doubt about it. That's why. No, they wanted to see you. No, see, if somebody wants to study for civil services exams, and after their degree, 3-4 years, they'll take break and study. And only 2-3% of people who make it. Others, again, they need to go and actually find a job or something like that. Again, it's a struggle, same struggle. But they still, people, if I come and tell my parents that I'm going to prepare for IAS exam, they will actually applaud for me. Okay, but not for entrepreneurship. But the reason is, after all this struggle, if you get into it, probably your problem is solved, is what they think. Here, if you get into it, the problem starts. That's what they actually push you back. Okay, so many people don't start at all. For those people, what I am saying is, see, my passion was a little away from the entrepreneurship, but my passion was, it's about the passion, because passion can be also an entrepreneurship, anything else. My passion was to help people, to serve people. I wanted a lot of money and give a lot of money. Okay, and in COVID times, of the services that we did it for more than a couple of crores of worth that we did. If I need to earn money and able to give a couple of crores, which means I should be making a lot of crores, right? And it will take a lot of time. But I started continuing my passion along with my profession also. And I'm still able to do it. So my thing is, if people are stopping you, don't think that that's the end of your road. You can start doing a passion. For example, what Vishal did. He continued doing what somewhere he felt that he can be successful, and he was able to convince himself at least, so that he can start by himself. Okay, so don't think that you give up and start. Only that is the real start. You can prepare everything, set your things right, and you will know by yourself, yes, and my time here and there is not enough. Let me quit what I was doing for earning and start doing this. And that can be also possible. So people should not give up just because others are not encouraging and so on. They can continue to do whatever they're doing along with what they already know, what gives them the living. Still, they can be successful. I know many of them, who transition without very smoothly from here to here.
In our last episode, I had Samson Saladharai, and he said his dad's dream was to have his sons be both. One of them is Bill Gates and the other is Billy Graham. So you can earn the millions and share the millions. So I kind of understand what you're saying. You can earn and give. So that would be kind of an ideal scenario. And I've wanted to ask this question. I think I tend to ask every entrepreneur I have a conversation with. Do you feel like entrepreneurship is for everybody? And this question is for both of you. It can be a tricky question to ask, but I still.
Can you repeat the question, man? I think I didn't hear you properly.
Entrepreneurship for everybody.
Okay. So what is our view on that?
Yeah.
Let's hear from the master first. Yeah.
Yeah. That everybody can do that, or it's not for them.
Yeah, I'm not a master and I'm still learning. So in my opinion, entrepreneurship is not something in your genes, or it's not something that just because you are charismatic and you can do it. No, you can be an entrepreneur by education. It's all about training. It's all about educating yourself. I compare many a times entrepreneurship to driving. Right? When we take our driving lessons, we are so excited about driving, right? But even if we learn hundreds of books on driving a car, we'll not drive a car until we get into the behind the wheel. We sit there, we take the risk, and on day one, everything is risky around there. But how do we overcome that risk? Right? Day one, our life is at risk because of us. People's lives that are at risk on the road. Right? But how do we do that? It's day two, nothing changes. Maybe in a week, nothing more changes. Right? You just become a little confident about driving. But after a month or a year, you kind of change, and you become proficient, and now half asleep also you're driving well, right? You're not conscious about where the gearbox is. You're not conscious about where your clutch or brake is, right? You kind of, but on day one, you'll be so conscious about everything. And what has happened in a year is not that the traffic on the road has changed. No, it has become worse. What has happened? The car has nothing has changed. You have changed, right? We have changed. That's the very thing that I can correlate with entrepreneurship. No, entrepreneurship is not about, you read a lot of books, or you kind of get coached, or you get MBA degree, you can become an entrepreneur. No, you have to get behind the wheel. You have to face that risk. And as you do it, kind of you become mature. You understand business environment well. You take calculated risk, right? You take educated risk. And every fall, in fact, every failure teaches you very vital lessons for life, not only for business, right? And that's how you grow slowly. And after a year or so, it will become easier. But on day one, first week, or maybe first year, it is going to be tough. It will not be a bed of roses. I would say it will be a bed of thorns, right? Every single moment you'll feel like quit and go back to a comfortable 9 to 5 job.
Problem is, the bed of thorns will be like bed of roses for you, not for everybody else.
Everyone, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, in fact, you will be motivated to go ahead with your failure because you have learned and known about it. But people around you will not be very comfortable, especially if you're married. Never. They will be the first person.
As an entrepreneur, when you lose the big money, even before you come out of it, you start thinking about when you can start a next business, right?
Yes.
That's how it is.
Very true. So it's like that, you have to get behind the wheel. You have to practice. So anybody can be an entrepreneur. As anybody can be a car driver, I feel anybody can be an entrepreneur. It's all about practice and face the risk, get educated day by day. After a year or so, you get seasoned. You become a seasoned entrepreneur. And after that, it's all about your personal education, the training the networks you have built, the problems you identify, and how efficiently you solve. That decides your scalability and how much you grow and earn and all. But in the meantime, that taking that step and to face the challenge and take the risk and put yourself behind it, that is more important. So I believe anyone can be an entrepreneur, provided education and training is there. Yeah.
Like that analogy. But again, I want to go back to Daniel. And Daniel, it's okay for you to have a slightly different perspective. You mentioned for some, it might be bed of roses and there's a lot of a risk. It all comes with it. So a person should enter it knowing that there are some sacrifices to be made. And my personality embraces that sort of a sacrifice and risk in me. Is it what you're saying, or am I putting the words in your mouth?
Actually, yeah. Maybe, as you said, maybe a little different view is what I thought I'll give. But the view, my view is entirely different. Okay. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Okay. And let me clarify that. Unless you are convinced about what you want to be, that you want to be an entrepreneur, better than you don't be an entrepreneur. Number one. If you are not convinced, just because somebody tells you, just because you see somebody is successful, just because somebody is famous, become a celebrity, you think they're making a lot of money. If that is why you're starting a business, want to be an entrepreneur, you cannot be an entrepreneur. Please don't become for that reason. If you have if you wanted to solve problem, if you want to help people, please start. Okay. If with this mindset, anybody can become an entrepreneur. Okay. The process is not a problem. It is not about whether you can become or not. It's about whether you wanted to become or not. That is the question that ask for yourself. If you are wanting to be, then as Vishal mentioned, it's just a process that you need to go through, that it will helpful. And network is the new age currency. And you need to have that, and how you do it, and all that is different things. But don't become an entrepreneur just because you see Vishal Nair as being successful, driving S-Class and all that. It's not be the motivation for you to become an entrepreneur. It should be entirely different. And I mentioned it already, and also Vishal also reiterated it, that money is a byproduct, and it will come automatically. It will come automatically. When it is your passion to solve problems, when it is your passion to serve and help people, money will follow you automatically, and it will continuously come. You will not be counting money. That will not be your problem. It will be, you'll be happy that you solved bigger problems. And now I've read a number of people who are done this, and that is why I think that people, without convincing themselves, should not become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So thank you. I think I actually see them as complementary views. They work, I think, pretty well together for both of your views. So I will end this. I know I wish I had more time because it's so interesting and keep digging into this. It's obviously it's an ocean, and you both have so much to say and so much to give. With Vishal saying that he was among the first 24 in India, right, Vishal, when you were trained?
To be selected for the program,
for the program. And
okay,
you're
no,
saying
not. I think it was. There are many programs happening parallel in India, but in Tamil Nadu, I think the 24 people were selected. I don't know if it was the first 24. Yeah, but I really counted myself.
It means first 24. You got a seat, right?
Yeah. And so when people identified from the government the value that you have, so I know you're modest, but we're trying to draw inspiration from that. Daniel says he started his 156 businesses. I want to ask you this, Daniel, for people who are listening to you, with whom this has struck a chord, where is the need and how can they help you?
Sure, Anand. Also, can I tell you one secret, Anand, for all the viewers? Okay.
Yeah.
Like the entrepreneurship that we talked about, even giving is a passion. Don't give just because people do not have money. Don't give because you feel like giving. Don't give because if only you give, God blesses you. It is not the reason that actually gives you. The satisfaction that you get, the privilege that you are, the value that you can actually make money. As I said, 5,000 rupees, if I go to a mall, take my family for a dinner and do a little bit shopping, even watch a movie or something like that, it's gone. But the same 5,000 rupees in their hand can build their livelihood. See the value? That is how you see, in investing people's life. And absolutely, if people are now wanting to support, I consider myself as people, okay, maybe, I will restart my statement to put it appropriately. See, the world is filled with good people. Actually, the bad people are very little. They're meager and minority. But what we see outside is projected of them and their deeds. There are a lot of good people. I've seen hundreds of people voluntarily come and give numerous money. But the only problem they have is they do not know where to give. They do not know where the right people, right needy people are. That's where I felt that I can fill that shoes. Because being in the field, going to many places and so on, anytime somebody comes and says, hey, last night I was sleeping, I felt like I should support somebody. Do you have somebody to? Even today it happened. I can show my WhatsApp messages. Hey, today I felt like giving something. I'll ask how much you want to give. This much. I have a number of requests already. Okay, hey, you want to do a business? You want to actually help people build their huts? you wanted to help, children study, pay their fees and so on, I can help you out. Where I am confident that these are real needy people. And I'm privileged, I should say, I'm thankful to God that God enabled us to connect to such people and identify the need and keep it with us. And even before we go and ask, people come and give, and we are able to do this. And the transaction, if somebody gives 5,000 rupees, the exact 5,000 rupees goes to the end receiver, the beneficiary, because we are all blessed by God having our own job that earns for a living, where we just add value to that money. For example, 5,000 rupees, if you go and buy materials for selling cloths to sell, if you don't buy it in bulk, you will not get it for the good money, right? So for 5,000 rupees, where the connection, and because we are continuously buying, we're able to get 7,000 rupees products and give it to them. In the process, we are adding only value to the process, the money. And that is what I'm convinced about. Why I'm able to say this is that's what I feel my calling is. Help people identify the need, and also the right people who need, they come. Listening to them in 2 minutes, and I'll be able to say whether it's a genuine request or not. That is the process, because we've been going through hundreds of people. And if anybody is wanting to be a blessing to people and like that, and especially I'll encourage, if you're married and if you have children and so on, I will encourage that you encourage your children start doing that now itself, and we can help you implement that. For example, speak to your children and say, hey, this Christmas we're going to help a small widow who from a small village whose hut is broken because of the rain. Can we help them? We'll put their hut together and let them think the value of it. That's how we spend a lot of money in educating our children. No, we put here and that, but this is the value that you're giving for their generations, and we can help you implement those in an effective way. That's how I'll put it. And if you're interested, please reach out to me. And there are a lot of places that you can be a blessing. And in every possible way, don't think about money. Money is the last thing that comes into the play when you want to help. It's a mind first. Let your mindset come, and whatever money you have, even if you have only 10 rupees, $1, let me know. We can actually put together and actually be a blessing to others. And I'll be, if you wanted to do it, probably Anand will be sharing my contact details or the details, and I'll be very, very happy to implement. I tell you, it is very, very addictive when you start doing it. You will not stop doing it when you know the value that you're able to create through your simple deeds. Probably that's how I'll say it, Anand.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And like you said, we will include the link and the contact information, and then we'll make sure that the viewers are able to reach out, make this happen. Absolutely. And then ask the last question to you, Vishal. So any what did you want your legacy to be? Because I'm seeing fighter. I've seen you with this passion and fire, and I know it's only been a year since you have launched this business, but I can see there are all these wheels turning in your head. So I'm sure you want to leave something behind. Yeah. What is that you would want to leave behind?
Yeah, one of my lifetime mission or vision is to actually enable or create an ecosystem in our country by which our country itself would be known as a startup nation like Israel is known today, right? And I wish to see that in my lifetime, and I want to play a significant role in that, right? Somewhere in the future, our country is known as a startup and innovation hub. So, and I know it cannot be done without inducing an entrepreneurship mindset among students. So I want to play a great part in that. And of course, other legacy I wish to leave is, of course, I want to be a model in doing startup the right way. So that's why I started my own business, and also for people who and also to set an example that you can do good with business, right? You can add value to the society. You can give so much to the society, not only employment, but a value for their life. Help them discover their passion and put their talent and gifting into use. There's so much you can do with the business. I want to create a very unique business by which people will, grow, and they'll be satisfied, they'll be fulfilled with their life rather than working a 9 to 5 job. So that's my legacy. I want to create something new, something fresh with business, which will transform the mindset of the people towards entrepreneurship, towards business and all. Yeah. So that's the legacy I would like to leave.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Vishal and Daniel, for the time you have taken out of a busy day. Obviously, you guys do so much. So you giving us these precious minutes out of your hour of the day is most
Thank
appreciated.
you, Anna. I should thank you also too.
Yes,
I
you
know
so much.
I am so inspired with Daniel Anna's testimonial. I didn't know about all these things. I knew only about the blanket drive. I did not know about so many other things. I got so much of ideas from Daniel Anna today about how to empower others at even such a small level. When it is so much about entrepreneurship, sometimes we lose the value about the small scale entrepreneurs that you can raise up, right? And that is also valuable to our society. Putting food on the plate through a venture they start, a self-employment venture they start, as such as a small stall or outlet, so important, right? That's a great lesson.
My
Thank
inspiration comes from Genesis 1:1, not 1:1, Genesis 1, that he created everything out of nothing. So
that's true.
Yes. So, I want to wish both of you all the very best. And on behalf of the entire Missing Link team, I want to extend a happy holiday season, a blessed Christmas. And I believe the spirit of giving is inspired from our guests here, and that we will respond to that in a way that will glorify He who made us, who He created everything out of nothing, borrowing Daniel's. So thank you all so very much. Everybody, be safe, be well, and remember the world needs your light.